Hello, thanks for watching. My name is Brandon Sierra, and today I'll be walking you through the DIDO app. DIDO is short for Perdido, and basically this is an app we designed after looking at the information architecture for the website Town of Perdido Beach. Town of Perdido Beach was a community website, local government website, and basically we identified a small segment of the site, some core functionality that we thought would be highly useful to be condensed in an easy to access, easy to navigate app. So here we see the main login screen. Pretty standard. Enter username and password. We have kind of the opaque background imagery of the beach, and I thought that was very inviting, kind of reminding users of the scenery in DIDO. And really the app itself is centered around access to the beach, primarily the purchase of beach passes, and we'll see some of that very soon. So we'll go ahead and just for the sake of this demonstration, pretend that we're logging in. And then we can see here, this is the home page actually, and it's pretty clear from the entry into the page that it's inviting you to jump right in and start enjoying your perfect beach day. And as we see, pretty much the solitary option here is to buy beach passes. Research suggested that this would be the primary use of the app, both for locals trying to take a day at the beach and for the high number of tourists that we see flocking to the area every year. So that was kind of what we wanted to hone in on, make this really accessible and really easy for somebody to quickly get in, buy their beach passes, and then be on their way, if that is indeed what they intended to do with the app. So we're not going to click there just yet. I'm going to show you some other segments of the site. Here we have the other clickable alternatives are this pancake stack navigation, and this looks like just a little DIDO homepage, DIDO logo and homepage icon, which will bring you back to this screen anywhere through the app. So for the next thing, let's just go through the navigation. So you see we have kind of a sliding effect that would be similar to what I would expect the final rendering of the app to be, to perform like. So we have some local services, Perdido e-news, which is something that we'll touch on a bit later, maps, volunteer, beach photos, and Perdido t-shirts. During some of the initial paper prototyping, we did receive feedback that it would improve functionality or improve understanding for the users if we kind of expanded these titles a bit. I had initially had just one word titles for each page, which I guess was a bit difficult to understand, so we tried to elaborate on that with still keeping it fairly short and subtle. So this is what we ended up with. We'll jump into I want to show you this Perdido e-news. So Perdido e-news is something that we had had some pushback. Initially I had designed the app to auto subscribe, or actually would, once registering or once logging in, would bring the users to an auto subscribe page where it basically have to be unchecked in order for them to be prevented from receiving e-news. So in essence, they were automatically enrolled unless they opted out. That confused a lot of users. I really didn't like that. They expected to come to the home screen after logging in. So that was one of the significant changes that we'd made. And we decided to keep Perdido e-news as a separate page and kind of something that they would seek on their own, rather than auto-enrolling them into receiving e-newsletters. And basically this would just be local news stories. Some of the examples I had cited in my earlier user testing was, something like cat stuck in a tree, perhaps weather, anything significant that maybe a local visitor would want, or local resident or visitor would want to be informed and connected about. So we'll go ahead and return back to the main navigation. Now I'm going to show you similar layout to the DIDO News beach photos. These obviously indicate where we would have images. My idea was to have some recent photos, maybe even have them uploaded by guests, just kind of showing the beauty of the natural scenery. Again, kind of reminding users, why it's enticing to be participating in this kind of activity, going to the beach. Some historical photos; those are always interesting. An area that was very underdeveloped and growing rapidly, as the Pensacola area and Perdido is. So at this follow-on page, I would have certainly some social share buttons, some sharing options, and just again a way to kind of connect users with the beach experience and with the beach itself. Kind of sharing and inviting more users to join in. Really. Now we're going to jump to let's see, local services or volunteer. We can check out volunteer, and this is just some volunteer opportunities or volunteer type activities that if someone was interested in could continue to help out their local community. Care House is a popular one that they could easily access. And again, we wanted to use simplified icons, big large buttons. Some of our older populations would definitely be included in our user groups, so that was something that we wanted to cater to. Certainly reduce frustration, reduce confusion. So really here it would just be an explanatory image or photo, one word volunteer, try to learn more, and then on each corresponding page kind of go more in depth about what local listings of opportunities would be available to them and seeking help actively. So we'll go ahead and go back. One of the other common functions we anticipated people using was the maps. So we'll check out the maps feature. And this is very straightforward again. The design was intentionally left simple. We're trying to narrow down the amount of options they had. So I think the thing that's apparent immediately is you cannot find directions here to any location. For example, if you wanted to try a local restaurant, it's not something you can access through this app. It's strictly just beach related activities, or ocean related activities, things that we anticipate users frequently having trouble trying to find information about. So it does show your location here on the map, and then it instantly brings you to the beach access screen. As we said, we really see that to be one of our high traffic draws for the app. So we want that to be the first and foremost thing that users would find when they come to the map section. So here's, you can see highlighted is the North Point beach access, and of course these are just examples. But basically we envision the app having access to regularly utilized beach access points, maybe a lot of parking at these points, and that would probably require additional research to identify which points would be best to include. But this is how we envision the map working. And then of course once you get directions, at that point it would transfer you to an outside map service, probably Google Maps, some that I'm most familiar with, and that would bring you step-by-step navigation, turn-by-turn navigation, some say, to your destination. And of course if you click here to the boat ramps, We see subtle color change in the border, just kind of letting the user know that they've left the beach access screen. And now we see that color theme continued on throughout the page. In addition, kind of explaining here what you've highlighted, and these would be clickable to highlight that selection if you wanted to go to a different one. And here we're looking at boat ramps, another thing we anticipated users having a lot of benefit from. Visitors going fishing, and tourist season brings a lot of these types of guests to the area. So let's look at something interesting, which was DIDO t-shirts. Now this is an idea I had to bring additional revenue for the town. Since it is such a popular tourist destination, I thought it'd be interesting to kind of have a limited edition DIDO only revenue stream for them. And of course this is pretty straightforward, not really much that you can select from this page. It just kind of gives you visual of what the shirt would look like, some quick bullet points as to why it seems to be a good purchase, and of course the big sell. It's only $5, pretty cost effective. We'd have to make that work on the back end as far as printing and stuff, but essentially, yeah, you've got your main options as always, the home screen and the pancake stack, and then the buy now. So it's really kind of trying to drive the action here. And you could back out, but for the sake of the demonstration, let's go ahead and return back to the home page. And now, for example, let's say that yes, we are just like an average user going to buy beach passes. So let's go ahead and buy those beach passes. It's gonna take us back, and here we go. And now we're here at the shopping cart screen, and so we see we have actually included one of those limited edition t-shirts, and our total cost we're looking at for the beach pass and the t-shirt, we're looking at $13. Pretty straightforward in terms of what type of payment information would be required. You have verification there at the top that this is the user that had logged in's email. Will receive confirmation email, and that's essentially all we had. We have editable fields. Something that we continued throughout the site was these yellow fields, and that indicates any kind of text entry. Something that we started on the login screen, and really a theme throughout the entire app. So that's about it. That's the essence of the app. We kept some of the imagery of beach evening in mind when we started to make our color choices. The yellow, we didn't want to be too harsh, but we didn't want to draw attention to it. So this is something that we want to encourage users to frequently use. That we want them to feel good about using the app and excited about basically where they're headed on their journey once they buy their tickets, and kind of an upbeat, simple layout that we feel both users that are new to town and users maybe that from the older populations will all have easy time navigating around and making their purchase. And that was the extent of the app. Thanks. My name is Brandon. Hope you enjoyed the video.